what do you already know that's helped you deal with similar situations in the past, right? By helping them shifting from the problem to identifying their existing strengths and empower them to see what are the abilities that they already have to move forward. And before mediation, we can also prepare parties by asking them, what you already know about this conflict that could help you move towards a resolution. So these kind of questions shift their mindset from frustration to constructive thinking before the session even begins. So that's where usually when the clients come in for their first consultation, they display some non-verbals. They are very anxious about the conflict. Instead of going deep down and finding out what's the problem, can ask them how what lets them what will give them confidence that this conflict can be resolved. Or sometimes during the mediation session, if we notice that one party is uneasy and is getting disheartened about how the mediation is going, we could also ask the parties in private what has worked before in similar situations in the past. So this encourage them to reflect on the solution that they may have overlooked and give them a sense of control over the process as well. Okay. So like what all of you has done in the last 5-10 minutes, a lot of times people already know some things, be it on the conflict itself or in our situation, what you know about communication skills. So if we start with what people already know, we are not only enforcing their capabilities, but also to make the process more constructive and empowering and forward moving. So with that in mind, let's explore how communication plays a key role in shaping these conflict conversations. So these are things that you have mentioned earlier. So as we mentioned, explore earlier some of the core communication skills that form the foundation of effective mediation and negotiation. So one of them, of course, active listening. Most of us are familiar with the solar posture, sit squarely, open posture, lean in slightly, have a good eye contact with the speaker, and of course, creating a relaxed, comfortable space for dialogue. So, as mentioned earlier, beyond body language, active listening is also listening to understand, not just to reply. Pay attention to what is said, the facts, what is also not said, but what is being displayed, the feelings, and what are some of the interests. That's very important. Try to find what does this person really truly cares about. So so instead of listening with the intent to respond, try asking yourself as you are listening, what is this person trying to say? So active listenings help to build trust and rapport, ensuring that both parties are truly felt heard. Another technique is, of course, the reframing of statements, which is one of the most powerful tools in mediation that helps parties shift perspective from problem focused to solution focused thinking and turns blame into shared interest by reframing negative language into neutral, forward-moving discussions. So some examples are like in a workplace setting, if the employee complains or has disagreement with the supervisors and say that my boss always ignore my idea. Or maybe before I share with you what's the proposed idea or solution to on reframing, maybe you could share with me uh, if one party say that he always ignore my idea, how would you want to reframe it? You could either type in the chat or say it out on the chat or unmute yourself. If the party in a conflict say that this person across the table always ignores my idea, how would you want to reframe it as mediator? Anyone? A useful place to start is what is the interest of this person? You could start by, of course, reframing it, stating a statement, or you could ask a question as well. Anyone want to try? Type in the chat. Unmute yourself. He always ignores my idea. Anyone? No?
Okay. Um, Hello, can I
Okay.
try?
Yes, please.
Okay. Probably, okay. Probably one could reframe it as, do you mean that he does not look at the alternative side of the argument?
Okay.
Do you mean that
Does it?
the other party does not look at the other an alternative way of handling this matter?
Mhm. So this is kind of restating what uh, what the client is saying, right? Any other ways to make it more positive? Amos, I see that you're trying to say something.
No, not now.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
So thanks Uma, thanks Uma and Amos. So Uma, earlier you mentioned that uh, what you have shared is useful, but it's kind of also restating what he's saying. So try this, try this. So he always ignores my ideas. If you want to reframe it into a statement, you could say, so what you want is that you want your ideas to be heard and valued. Get it? So what you want is your ideas to be heard and valued. So the first part is he ignores my idea. It's something that he don't like, the client don't like. So if you could reframe it to something that the client would probably want to look forward. So you could say that what you want is that your ideas is heard and valued. And that's kind of reframing it to the positive sense. So that is one way you could go about it. Or you could ask a question. He always ignores my idea. So you could ask, so if he is not ignoring your idea, what would you want instead? Or what are you hoping instead uh, that he will be doing, right? So that's one way to move things towards a more positive angle. And when he says that, I just want him to appreciate that I did come up with ideas. Okay, so what you are looking for is appreciation. So when was the last time that he had appreciated you, and how did it happen? Right? So these are ways that can move things towards a more positive angle. And for the party who's sitting on the other side, now the party have very clear idea and action towards what the person want instead of what the person don't want. I have a few thoughts I would love for us to consider together. Okay. Yes. Thanks. Okay. So reframing help parties see situation at different angle and allowing them to move beyond their fixed position. So a lot of times people will come in with what do they not want is a going away goal. So what we can do is to reframe it and ask what do they want instead, a goal that they are going towards instead of going away. And when we know what's very clear to us what we want, then we can then structure the whole conversation, whole negotiation towards what they want. How can we make that happen, right? Okay, I'll move on. Uh, okay, so empathy, of course, we talk about it. So empathy doesn't mean that we agree, but it's just recognizing how the person feel. So instead of saying that I understand how you feel, I understand that you are angry, you could always start by saying that it sounds like this situation has been frustrating to you, right? A very useful way is to have that conversation starter. It sounds like, it feels like what I'm hearing is uh, what I'm sensing. I'm curious if this is what you mean. So these are a very good conversation, sentence starter that allows you to show empathy. Okay, summarizing, paraphrasing. So earlier, what Uma was doing was a little bit of paraphrasing. That's also to check understanding, but what might be useful is also tweak it to a more positive sense as well. Okay, so effective questioning, ask open-ended question. I think I'm blocking it. Yeah, I'm blocking it. Yeah. Okay. So ask open-ended question. So how do we ask open-ended question? I think we all know. So open-ended question invite discussion, encourage reflection, and help parties explore solutions together. So a good way to ask open-ended questions. I think how many of you here are lawyers? I think it should be quite a fair bit of you are lawyers, as I understand. And yeah. So I'm not sure if you heard about this TED, tell, explain, describe. So to ask open-ended questions, you can start by tell me more about what's on your mind. Tell me more about what are you hoping to achieve at the end of this mediation. What would let you know that at the end of this mediation is a useful time spent together? Um, or explain how has this situation affected you, right? So that's E. Or describe what would an ideal solution look like for you? What would an ideal agreement or outcome look like for you? So open-ended questions are generally better than encourage more meaningful responses. Okay. So so here if we fuse in the solution-focused communication approach, so active listening, we listen with a constructive ear. So active listening, solution-focused active listening goes further than the normal active listening, which is just focusing on understanding the problem. The solution focused way of listening is listening for the strengths, skills, and resources rather than the problem and obstacle. So earlier, as you start off, we talk about yes, it's important for us to understand what has happened in the past, but as you listen with a constructive ear, you listen to what has happened in the past and what were some of the strengths, skills, or resources that were present in the past. Something that's useful that can help us in this existing conflict to move things forward. So what has already worked in the past, even in a small way, and feed it back to the speaker to reinforce progress. So I do a lot of community mediation, which focus a lot on relationship. So usually we ask, so yes, now that conflict has happened, you're unhappy with each other living in this community. I'm just curious in the past, how were things like in the past? Were things slightly better in the past? How when things were better, how's your communication with your neighbor? What has helped you in the past? So that's when you start to think back in the past. There are probably good times, and and that helps them find that there's ways that we can move things forward if we go back to what has worked past. Okay, so have there been times where collaboration worked well? What was different back then? So we highlight past success and encourage parties to recognize their own ability to move forward. And this will create a more constructive atmosphere, right? So reframing, guiding towards the party's preferred future. So traditional reframing restates the problem neutrally. Actually, you unmuted yourself. Do you have something to share? No? Okay, so I'll carry on. Um, yeah, so um, guiding the parties towards a more preferred future by helping them describe what do they want instead of what do they not want. So a similar example as before, yeah, I don't want my manager to ignore my ideas. So I could reframe it to, so ideally you would like your manager to acknowledge and consider your ideas. Right? So it helps parties focus on the outcome that they want and creates a vision for resolution, right? If they can imagine how will it be like in the past, in the future, then they'll be more able to move things forward. So empathy, one step in acknowledgement and one step in possibility. So it's very important for us to acknowledge the emotions, but also uh, ask questions that open doors for constructive next steps. So, for example, people may say, parties may say that, um, I can see that this situation is really frustrating for you. How you could also add on is I can see that this situation is frustrating. Despite that, what might be one small step that two of you can take together to make things better? Right? Okay, celebrating success and small wins as we summarize. Okay, so far, instead of saying so far, we have discussed the challenge and potential solutions. What you might try to use or say is that, well, we have spent quite a fair bit of time here. Thank you for taking this effort to work with each other to discuss this challenging situation. So far, we have identified 2 points of agreement and a small step forward. And that's a great progress, don't you think so? Right? You can encourage parties that now we have moved things forward. So this help parties see that progress is happening and they are more willing to engage and also help to build momentum. Okay, so effective questioning instead of asking why do you think this keeps happening, right? You could then ask what would a good outcome look like for you. Okay, so these are some ways on how could you use a solution focused communication approach. Okay. Any question at this point of time? If not, I think this is the next very, very fun part that I would like to introduce you to negotiation. So, which we will put what we have talked about, the communication skills, into actual negotiation. So, we negotiate quite a lot in our day-to-day life as we work with people, and especially in mediation, the parties are negotiating. But us as mediators, we are kind of like the negotiation coach to help them work through the different uh, proposals here and there. So then it's very useful for us to learn a little bit about negotiation as well. Okay, any questions before I move on? Or any thoughts, comments? Am I moving too slowly? Is it useful so far?
Very useful, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Uh, okay, so next part, yeah, I think it's the fun part. We have probably about another 40 minutes or so. Okay, I think we have enough time to play this. Okay, so the next part is I want to introduce you these negotiation cards. So a lot of times we learn negotiation, we practice negotiation, we not only practice, we use negotiation in our day-to-day life, be it in the market, negotiating with your kids. I have two young children. I'm always negotiating with them. When they're going to school, they're always negotiating with me for longer play time. So we negotiate quite a lot. So that's where the question is, do we have enough time or opportunities to practice negotiation? So I'd like to now introduce you this negotiation club, a virtual club that meets regularly to practice negotiation skills in a structured manner. So I'd like to take this moment to express my gratitude to the founder, Phillips Brown, who has kindly allowed me to share this exercise with you, which is a hands-on practical exercise. So in a short moment, you all will be break into breakout rooms, and then we'll come back to negotiate with each other. So let me share with you how does this work. Just a moment. Okay, so do you all have access to your phone? If not, let me just give me a while, yeah. Okay, let me paste the chat. Paste the chat. Okay. Okay, can you access to this link, the negotiationcards.com? Okay. Let me share my screen with you.
I can hardly hear from my end, sir.
Sorry?
I can hardly hear you clearly from my end, sir.
You cannot hear me clearly. Right. Okay. Okay, so if for those who can try to scan the QR code, then you could access this website called the digitalnegotiationcards.com, or if not, you can click on the link on the Zoom chat. It will bring you to this website. I'll share a screen on the particular website. Okay, okay. You can see the screen.
I think it's ready. Oh, I think it's ready.
Can you see?
Installing dependence
Yeah,
dash custom.
yeah. Can you access? Okay, see the screen? Yeah. Okay, so
Still coming up.
Yes, I can access the link.
okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, so what's going to happen later is that I'll break you up into four breakout rooms. Okay, let me know if you cannot hear me. Yeah, I'll break you up into four breakout rooms. So two breakout rooms will be the buyer, and two breakout rooms will be the seller. So, in your respective buyer breakout rooms, later I'll hop into your breakout room as well. So what you will do is that in your breakout room, just one of you in your breakout room will choose the buyer, and then under this select your negotiation complexity, you can choose one. That's where you will just negotiate on one variable, then you click create negotiation setup. So then this will give you the negotiation cards. So basically, what we are going to do later as we come back together is that the buyer, so we have four groups. So we have buyer one, buyer two, seller one, seller two, right? These four groups. So buyer one will negotiate with buyer two, with seller two. Seller two will negotiate with buyer two, right? So in your respective cards, you will negotiate to buy a tons of apple, to buy and sell a tons of apple. So you have budget. So for the buyer, you will see that you have a budget. You have only you can of course use your own currency, but in this example, we use the British pound. You have a budget of 1,077 uh, pounds that you have as a budget, and then you then got to negotiate with the seller, right? Then of course the tactics that you can use, of course, it is stated there. You can use the word fair, so you could use things like, I think this is a fair request, as you want to buy something, or what is fair to you as a seller. So these are some tactics that you can use. Okay. So then as for the seller, what you will get is that you click on the seller, you click create negotiation setup, then you have a break-even price, right? So uh, to to sell your apples, your break-even price is $437, right? Pounds. And then your tactics that you use in the negotiation is to summarize. So as the negotiation happen, you take time to summarize, take stock of what you have discussed, and then try to negotiate for better terms. So as you can see in just this example, we have a zone of potential agreement. So the seller's break-even price is £437. The buyer's budget is £1,077. So that is that range. So how could you negotiate to get a fair price, right? Or a fair package, right? That's something that we want to work out. So let's go into this practice. Then we can come back and debrief in a short moment. Any question at this point of time before I send you up to the breakout room? Is everyone clear on how do we do this? So let me just repeat one more time. You will have a buyer one, buyer two, a seller one, seller two. So I'll send you on to breakout room. Within your breakout room, choose one person to be the main negotiator. And then of course the rest you can give your ideas and inputs and to discuss. Okay. And then or in the actual negotiation, the rest will be observer. Likewise for the seller group. you have one main negotiator, which is the seller, and then the rest will be the observer or giving ideas and inputs. Okay, I'll send you a breakout room, and then I'll pop into your breakout room. Let me know what is your price. Then you can come back and negotiate. Any questions? No questions. I'll send you all into 4 breakout rooms. Okay, so let's go. Let's go to
Ma? Yeah, okay. Baby, what's this?
It's negotiation.
What did they negotiate? What will they say? Don't keep fighting on slap now. You go like you're saying anybody like shut you down now. I don't know. Don't say anything. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Kuma wala ban ji faɗin shi ba. Ragewa kika yi?
Kika ce mene? Ya yi yawa. Kika cin amalawai. Ya yi
daɗi fa sosai. Shinkafa ya daɗi. Shi ma yana da daɗi. Mene? To yayi daɗi fa. Kila dan ya shiga nan ne.
Me yasa ba ce ke?
Ban sani ba. Shi kadai ya abinci wannan ba mu san yadda yayi ba. We are not involved. Je ki ansa na haka maza su bada. Ita moi moi ma.
Oh, you don't give it. Very nice.
No, goman su fa yana daɗi fa. Komai daɗi.
Ita amala, I'm vouching for amala. Ya kamu to make your skin glow.
Guda ɗaya ne ko?
You know that in rice na.
Ko ci ke so ki da sai ki tafi da shi. Ba a leda yake ba?
A'a, ganye ne.
I mean, yes, a ganyen shi ba yau. Kawai sai ka su buɗe miki ba. Kai, gaskiya fa na ƙoshi.
Wallahi ba. Hajiya.
Guda na ƙoshi.
Bana kan ba wasu ina kuka samu kuna aya.
A'a, baba da aka yi ba siya ta yi, kamar zuwa da shi ta yi wannan ke sayarwa ko? Gaskiya na ƙoshi. Yanzu ka yi nuna. Nisa?
Yana da
A Islamiyya?
ba ruwa cikin wannan abu. Ina hada da safe.
Ni ma za su hada.
Kuma sai da
In sun dawo, ni 2:30 suke zuwa Islamiyya to kawai na ce at least for that day. Just this once.
wani walima kamar walima.
Goban ayya shi yasa. Ni gefen mata ne.
Welcome back, everyone.
Na ga wani abin da zo kira ki ma kenan zo ki na ga kayan a can. Kawai ta sai na gara ki da hannu. Ina da nan. Kuma abin da ba kwace ne yanzu ban samu ta ba amma na ga duka. Kuma mun yi da
Hello back. Okay, so welcome back. Welcome back.
Recording in progress. Yeah, recording.
Okay, so okay, so thanks for allowing me to play along with you. Okay, so we are now going into the negotiation practice. So earlier I gotten some figures from you. So we have in the first group, who will be the first the buyer one. Who's buyer Archie, right? Archie, you're buyer one, right? Okay. Sorry, I cannot hear you. So Archie and Rebecca. It's Archie. Where's Archie? Archie's not. Uh, Okay. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
That's great. Walid and Rebecca, could you turn on your camera?
Turn
No.
on my camera.
Where are we now?
Can I turn
On your
audio?
camera?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Walid, you are the buyer, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Rebecca, you are the seller. Okay, so in a short while, two of you will negotiate with each other to purchase and sell a tons of apple, right? So
A
you have
kind
your
of
break-even price,
apple?
a tons of apple.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so you have your break-even price as an budget. You don't have to reveal to each other right now, but you can then negotiate with each other. For 5 minutes, I'll start the timer. I believe you can see each other, right? Okay, so you can negotiate for 5 minutes and then uh, we can then do a debrief later. Okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I will start the timer and yeah, you can start negotiating.
So who starts, the buyer or the seller?
Uh, Anyone can start.
Hmm. Okay.
So, Rebecca, you have these apples and we're quite interested in them. They look quite good. So,
Is it
we want a
apples?
ton of it. Yes, he mentioned
The,
apples.
the product is apples, okay?
Hmm.
So I'm offering the apples for 500 pounds.
500 pounds.
Yes.
It comes with the crates. It comes with the crates, or you're packing it in a sack or cartons.
I'm packing it in a paper bag.
Okay. Paper bag. We were looking more at having it crated. We're looking at a ton, and you would crate, and we would appreciate if you'd look at 350 pounds.
I can give for the last I can give it for is for 450 pounds.
450 pounds.
Yes.
And it comes in a crate?
It comes in, yeah, the one that comes in a paper bag, I can give for 440 pounds, but the one that comes in a crate, I will give for 450 pounds because they are fresher.
Okay, Rebecca. 450 pounds comes in a crate. It's fresher.
Yes.
Would you be transporting it to us, delivering it, or you want us to pay for delivery separately because your price is a bit high?
Okay. You are to pick it.
Rebecca, it's a Friday afternoon, and you know the markets will be closed tomorrow, and I'm sure you need to get your goods off your hands. We will be willing to pay you 400 pounds for it, crated and delivered to our doorsteps.
Okay, if I'm to deliver to your doorstep, then it will be 430 pounds. But if you are to pick it up, then the last is 412 pounds.
Well, like I said, Rebecca, 430 pounds might be good on a Monday, but looking at the weekend and the possibility of these perishable goods, and we really want to get them off your hand, and we all want to have a jolly good weekend, you know, celebrate with the friends and watch the football match, you know, and go for cricket. So let's just look at it at 400 pounds and delivery by tomorrow morning, hopefully, and we've got a deal.
we have customers lined up and they are willing to pay the 430 pounds. So if you can just pay the 430 pounds and we'll deliver, it will be a deal for us. But if you want to come and pick it up, then we'll leave for 412 because we have customers lined up and we understand that other shopping malls around us don't have it fresh. Ours just came in today, so they are fresh and they can stay past the weekend. So we are not afraid that it will perish quickly.
It's not fair, Rebecca. Let's just, you're a businesswoman, I'm a businessman, and the weekend is here. So let's settle midway. We don't get a 400 and you don't get 430. So we just close this deal at a 415 and send me your account numbers. My accountants are ready to make the transfer immediately.
Okay. 415 pounds is a deal.
Yes, delivered. Thank you very much. So just send your account details and you'll be getting the money via wire transfer immediately.
All right. Thank you so much. It's nice doing business with you.
Likewise. So I've learned how to brag now. I'll go to the market and be getting Gary and other things.
Let's send my first bank account.
Amazing. Give them a round of applause. Give them a round of applause. Yes, yes. All right. So let's take a look. Walid and Rebecca, now is the time to review your cards. Rebecca, what's your break-even price? Walid, what's your budget?
Well, my budget was £900 actually, so I'm really going to have a nice weekend.
900. Rebecca, what's yours? What's your break-even price?
My break-even price is 412 pounds.
412 pounds. So you can see that we actually quite have a wide range of zone of potential agreement, right? So we have 400, your break even, while it has 900 as its budget. So you could push quite high, closer to 900 as well. And while I think you get closer to uh, the, the break even price for Rebecca. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'll just quickly cut short this practice. As you can observe here, there are a few things that's happening. Thank you so much, Rebecca and Walid. Give them a round of applause.
Thank you so much.
It is. I hope that it's fun as you see how things, how you could, practice negotiation in such a way. So you have the negotiation cards with you. You can practice with your friends. One of you choose the buyer, one of you choose the seller, and then you can negotiate. And I think what I really like in this example, let me remove pin first. And yeah, okay, what I really like in both of their practice is that they spend a lot of time trying to create value for each other, right? I could deliver the goods to you, or you could come and pick it up from me, and that changes that pricing dynamics. So in negotiation, what's really important is how can we create value for another person, not just only on the price, right? And I think there's a lot of creative ideas here. You talk about being perishable or not perishable. If of course if it's perishable, then there's more urgency in selling. So we realize that in this practice, you move quite quickly into these terms. But what might be useful is that instead of going straight to the figure, the price point, what might be useful is that you can then have a discussion, find out more about why do you want these apples for, any urgency, and I think Walid mentioned enjoying the soccer match. So you can then use that topic as a way to build rapport and find out more, why particularly apple, why not orange? What's the thing that you want here? Okay, so let me just quickly go through the screen, the slides. Okay, so you did some practice. Useful practice, I think how can it be even better is that we spend more time exploring each other's needs and demands and interests so that we can have a better negotiation when it comes to the last few minutes as we talk about the price. Okay, so talk about this. Okay, so very quickly, earlier we talked about the best alternative to negotiated agreement. I think one of you mentioned that there's there's no other shops around, or I'm the only provider for apples. All the other malls are closed, so that is trying to work out the best alternative to negotiated agreement. Zone of potential agreement, we saw it earlier. We have from 900 from 400 to 900, that's that zone. And anchoring with the first offer. So that's also something that's very important. So Rebecca, you anchored at quite a low price. I think you started off probably 400 plus or 500 if I don't remember wrongly, right? So that anchor, it determines the range, right? Okay. And yeah. So these are some solution-focused negotiation skills that you can use. So listening for the interest of each other, the motivation, why do you want apples for, and how can we make this deal work for both of us? Or what difference would it make if you get apple by this weekend, right? Explore creative solutions, and uh, how would this deal work for you if this is a successful deal, right? Okay. So we don't have time for part two of this, but I think you get where things are going. So in the last 5 minutes, I just want to share with you a bit more about this negotiation club that we are trying to create in the APAC region. That is, we are running this negotiation club on the first and third Thursday of each month. That's 10 a.m. GMT, which is also 10 a.m. West Africa time. And that's where we will gather together for 90 minutes each time, and that's how we practice negotiation. So very quickly, I want to show you two videos on the negotiation club. Okay, let me see if I could share my audio as well. Okay, sharing. Okay, quickly share with you. Share sound. Okay, so let me know if you could hear this.
So the whole premise of the negotiation club is about practical practice. There are plenty of training companies out there. There's plenty of videos. There's loads of brilliant books out there as well. And you can read them, you can watch them, you can attend them. And that is absolutely right. You need to be able to do that. The challenge is, how do you put those lessons learned into practice? How do you practice those? If you've got a great tactic that you've got from a book, when do you try that out? What happens if you don't do it well? Who's going to tell you if you've not done it particularly well? So the whole idea behind the negotiation club is not to say that you shouldn't go on these training courses, not to say you shouldn't read these books, it's to do exactly those, but then to come along to a club and actually practice those in a safe environment. And then when you are confident enough, is to actually then use them in the real world itself.
Okay, so let me just show you next very quick example of what's happening in a negotiation club.
Welcome to another episode of the Negotiation Club. This is where we
Promise to be a recurring customer, so I'm very happy this happened.
4 minutes. They start. Right, so here we go. We have 4 minutes to negotiate and practice with purpose, and your 4 minutes, they start now.
Hi, Julia.
Hi, Danny. Nice to see you again.
Yes, nice to see you again.
You did promise to be a recurring customer, so I'm very happy this is happening.
Well, I'm back. I enjoyed our last transaction.
Yeah, me too. So what can I do for you today? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for apples, and we're looking to put them in some desserts. So we're looking for some very high quality ones. Are you able to provide that?
We have everything you can wish for. So definitely can do that. However, you can maybe assume that will come at a slightly higher price.
Yeah, I can understand. Well, we want high quality, so we understand the market we're in. We're looking to pick up some of the higher end apples, and we're looking to get into the market at 7.15.
7:15.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many tons are you?
Or 8 tons for 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely great. And you know what I really like is that you had a practice just before, and even now, 15, 20 minutes later, you're thinking about what you're doing. Right? Just imagine if you did this every day, just 15 minutes, 20 minutes, having a practice with somebody you know, right? With a little bit of a review. Massive difference. Brilliant, both of you, well done. And a little summary tactic at the end, which was great. Julia, any thoughts as to what Danny was practicing or focusing on?
I have no idea this time, and I really, really didn't know how to put fair into my.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much what I want to share. So that's where we have this negotiation club. If you're interested, you can click on the chat. So I've shared the link. So if you're interested to find more about the negotiation club, you can do so. That's where we gather every 2 times a month at 10 a.m. West Africa time to practice negotiation, like what you have done earlier. So all the skills that you try to put in, the different ways of asking questions, listening, is the way that you can practice in this club. Okay, so that's all I have. So thank you so much for your time and for the invitation. So do feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, or if you want to find out more, and happy to now take any questions or comments or anything about what we have shared earlier. Anything? Okay, so I've just shared my LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. If there's no questions, then I'll hand it back to the settlement house. I hope it has been useful in the last few minutes, just practicing the various negotiation tools. Nothing else, then thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I do look forward to connect with you on LinkedIn.
Hello.
Thank you too. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much. It's
you,
quite
sir.
an interesting one. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me?
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Let me use this opportunity to thank you, Mr. Lee, for creating time out of your busy schedule to be with us. I appreciate your the interactive nature of your class, and I believe that the participants actually enjoyed it. We hope that they will be able to put into practice what they have learned, and possibly reach out to you where necessary, because I believe that they will connect with you. So you can drop your LinkedIn profile on the platform and maybe your contact, so that we can connect with you for further engagement, participation in the negotiation platform, as well as other opportunities. We really appreciate it. So on behalf of the management of Settlement House, we want to thank you for creating time and making on this our participants. Thank you so much. Please ensure you drop your LinkedIn profile for people to be able to.
So,
Jesus. Please, I don't know if you are not speaking. You should mute your mic. This is the contact of Mr. Lee. He is actually a very, very interesting person to interact with. So please, you can connect with him on LinkedIn. Join the negotiation pack, right? And that's an avenue for you to be able to learn how to do practical negotiation. You know, aside from what you have learned in theory, it will be an opportunity to put that into practice. So please connect with Mr. Lee. And then if you need any form of assistance, you kindly reach out to me. Thank you so much, Mr. Lee. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. Right. Bye-bye. Enjoy your rest of the training. And have a good weekend ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Am I muted? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
We can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear, sir. We can hear, sir. We can hear, sir.
Yes.
All right. So if you can hear me, our next instructor is here. He's someone that you will very much like to listen to. Please, if you can hear me, let me just have a thumbs up. Oh, okay, that's good. All right. So our next participant is Mr. Fola. Mr. Fola is a global mediator and trainer. He is one of the member of the council member. He is one of the council member of Settlement House Area Training Institute. And today we are actually privileged to have him around to be able to guide you through the one of the important aspects of this training. Please, Mr. Fola, you can share with them and tell them about yourself before you proceed. Fola has been my mentor and has been the one that actually steer up the mediation aspect of me. And I'm happy to have him take part in this training today. Thank you very much, Mr. Fola.
Yeah,
The
thank
floor
you
is
so much.
yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Nanchan, for having me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Fola Lade, and I will be taking you on today's topic. So by way of introduction, I'm a lawyer. I'm a mediator in practice. I run a bespoke. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Am I audible, please? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Yeah, thank you
We
so
can
much.
hear
Yes,
you,
sir.
sir.
We can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I run a bespoke commercial mediation practice in Lagos, Nigeria. Apart from that, again, I also work with the United Nations as a mediator. And apart from that too, again, I'm also an ADR practitioner in India, in Malaysia, in Hong Kong, in Washington, DC. Bottom line is this: I eat, sleep, and drink mediation. Mediation is the only thing I do actually. And I've been on this course for the past 10 years. And I'm so happy to be here with you. I remember when we bumped into Mr. Nanchang maybe 2018 or thereabout, and 19 or 20 rather. And he had the vision to do this. I remember what I told him. I said, Nanchang, go and be the king of the North. And I'm so happy that he's making impressive strides in mediation in the North. So, Mr. Nanchang, I say a big congratulations to you. So,
Thank you very much, sir.
Most welcome. So, having said that much, ladies and gentlemen, I will be taking you on the processes and the stages of mediation. I understand my class is supposed to run for 1 hour. So, I will struggle, but I will try and see if I can finish lesser than 1 hour so that I can at least have maybe 10 minutes for questions and answer. So I think it's important I start off on this premise, ladies and gentlemen, that a lot of my teachings and what I will be saying stems from what I like to call practical mediation. It's not academic mediation. It's based on an extensive practice of having handled over 700 cases with an 85% success rate. So a lot of what I will be telling you, ladies and gentlemen, are practical steps you can use in mediation. So please permit me to share my slide, and I will try and move as fast as I can. So like I said earlier on, ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking on, one moment, please. Let me just put this here. Yes. So I'll be speaking on the processes and stages of mediation. I've been able to introduce myself as a mediator. I'm also a notary public. I'm also a double certified emotional intelligence specialist. I'm a neuro-linguistics practitioner. I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist. So bottom line is that my own style of mediation is powered by emotional intelligence, for want of a better way to put it, because I've been able to see that human beings are more emotional than logical, and they take emotional decisions, and try to justify it with logic. So everything that we are going to be talking about today, ladies and gentlemen, is going to fall within this framework of POA-IOA. And I promise you that if you have an understanding of POA-IOA, there is no mediation you cannot handle. So even if you're not able to understand anything at all, ladies and gentlemen, if you understand POA-IOA, may I please crave the indulgence of anyone to please help me write that in the chat box, please, in capital letter, POA-IOA. Every training you're going to be having with Shati will be within the framework of POA-IOA. Now, why is POA-IOA very important? It is because as a mediator, this is what will set the tone for what it is that you want to do. You see, these phases of mediation gives you what is called a sense of direction. And I think the starting point really is to, first of all, disabuse the mind of everyone. That mediation is simple when you know what you are doing. So the only reason why people struggle with mediation is because they don't have a sense of direction in terms of where they are starting from, what they hope to achieve. And this POA-IOA will put a lot of things into proper perspective. So having said that much, let us first of all look at the first P in the POA-IOA, which is called the preparation. Now, the preparation phase is a very, very important phase in mediation. And why is it important? It is the invisible part of mediation. This is where the mediator quietly handles this behind the scene. What do I mean by the preparation phase? Please understand that as a mediator, you do not go into any mediation session blind. And when I'm talking about blind, what do I mean? You must at least have an idea of what the issues in contention are. You should have an idea of the parties. You should have an idea of what type of mediation you will be settling. Are you settling a commercial dispute? Is it a medical dispute? Is it negligence? Is it, so you need to have an idea of what it is that you are going into. And that is why the preparation phase is very, very, very important. You know, having an understanding of disputes. Now, confirming even who had the authority to settle. I will be speaking on this in further slides, and also even settling logistics. When I'm talking about logistics, we're talking about the fact that is the mediation going to be online or is it going to be physical? If it's going to be online, there are certain dynamics and parameters you have to put into place. If it is going to be a physical mediation session, there are certain parameters that you need to put into place, vis-a-vis the conducive nature of the environment, whether the environment, the premises you want to use has a waiting room among so many other things. And most importantly, is also checking your own mindset to know whether you're actually neutral. And why I say this is that not every mediator is cut out for every mediation session. For someone like myself, I do mostly corporate commercial. I don't do family because family is too emotional for me. So I think the starting point I need to also add here, ladies and gentlemen, is that as mediators, you need to have a high level of self-awareness. Self-awareness in the sense that you are coming into mediation, you ask yourself, what type of mediation do you want to handle? Do you want to do commercial? Do you want to do corporate? What area of mediation are you looking into? But I will tell you one thing for free. Whichever area of mediation you want to go into, once you have an extensive understanding of POA, IOA, you know, it's a lot like driving. Once you're able to drive one car, there's practically no car you cannot drive at all. So that is why, as a mediator, you need to be a strategist. A strategist in the sense that you ask yourself this question: what am I going to do in this mediation session? What style am I going to adopt? You know, okay, fine. I'm going to follow the format of the POA IOA. You know, so I'm going to prepare. How am I going to give my opening statement? You know, how am I going to set the agenda? In setting the agenda, how am I going to help the parties who have given me a position uncover their interest? How are we going to navigate through the options? So you see, these are the things that you need to do as a mediator. And that is why when preparing for a mediation case, you need to have an awareness and be conversant with all the important legal and factual issues of the case. Now, when we talk about legal, it doesn't matter if you're not a lawyer. At least have an understanding of the fact that probably when that dispute arose, there was an agreement between both of the parties. You know, have an understanding of what the agreement states. Have an understanding of the breach that has arisen out of that agreement and how you are going to take it up from there. You know, and while also going through all of this too, you should also be able to help parties mentally, before you even get there, analyze their expectations from their reality. Now, why this is especially very, very important is this, ladies and gentlemen, is that parties come into mediation sessions with highly unrealistic terms. You know, probably a dispute has arisen and the party is asking for maybe 500 million, asking for 750 million. You look at the quantum of what is happening in the case. You know that this amount is not something that can be reasonably expected. So in your mind, you should be able to think about how you can help the parties manage the perception of what the expectations are vis-a-vis the reality. So these are all the things that fall under the framework of the preparation phase. Now, another important point that we need to talk about really is obtaining authority to settle. Now, please understand that if you are mediating between two individuals, you know, you don't need the parties don't need to furnish you as a mediator with an authority to settle. If you're having a mediation session with the managing directors, they don't need to furnish an authority to settle. But if you have a representative of an organization, it behoves on you as a mediator to ensure that the parties representing those companies have a letter of authority. Now, please don't forget that, you see, a company is different from an individual. So what that letter of authority will do is that it will bind the company to whatever decision you take on their behalf. So it's really very important that at the preparation phase, you ensure that the proper documents are taken vis-a-vis letter of authority, agreements to mediate, you know, because parties also have to sign what is called an agreement to mediate. Now, infused in that agreement to mediate is a confidentiality clause that must be included in all of this. All of what I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, are templates that can be provided that you must ensure that the parties sign in before they go into their mediation session. Now, if you notice what we have been able to do, we have been able to look at the we have been able to, thank you so much, Akko and Josh and for POAIOA. Yes, thank you so much for that. So you will notice that we have been able to talk about the P in the preparation phase by way of summary, which basically has to do about the mediator being mentally prepared for the case he wants to handle, vis-a-vis having an understanding of it. Now, the second one we'll be looking at is the O, which is the opening phase, the O in the POAIOA. Now, the opening phase is really, really very important, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what they say about first impression, that you don't usually have the opportunity to make a second one. You see, the opening phase is where the mediator quietly proves its worth. The opening phase is where the mediator, you see, tries to explain the process of mediation. Now, please understand that not everybody understands what mediation is all about. And I remember when I started off, I've had sessions where people would assume that mediation is meditation spelled wrongly. So the parties that are present at the mediation session don't even know what it is that they're doing. All they just understand is that there's a dispute, and you have been brought in as a neutral to help them resolve those disputes. So it's really, really very important that there's so many things you put into contemplation. The way and manner you speak, your neutrality, the structure, and the safety. And also, please understand that most times the parties are always a bit defensive because they don't know you. Though all they just know is that you have been selected to help them mediate. So one thing I must state is that you all, by virtue of wanting to come into mediation, you are all trainers, you are all facilitators in training, because that's essentially what you do, what we are doing right now, what I'm doing right now, trying to teach you to explain what mediation is really all about. And that's essentially what you would also be doing to, to familiarize parties with mediation, the concept of mediation, what mediation essentially stands for, among so many other things. So while we're talking about this, please understand that the parameters of certain things. Now, you can mediate physically. And when I'm talking about physically, what do I mean? That is where we are seated in a room, myself and parties, or mediation sessions can be virtual. Like what you see right now on my screen is a physical mediation session, and with a style of sitting. The gentleman putting on white is a mediator. You can see that he's seated at the extreme. The parties are seated on both sides. This right now, ladies and gentlemen, is a style of sitting where a mediation session is concerned. Now, this right here too is another style of sitting where the mediator is on one side and then the parties are seated opposite each other. But I will not advise this style of sitting because I've had a nasty experience once when I was mediating between two brothers, and then the arguments got so heated that one of the brothers stood up and slapped the other brother. The mediation session almost turned into a free-for-all. So it's always advisable that you keep the parties opposite each other. Now, please also understand that in a mediation session, we have parties to a mediation session. We have the mediator, that's the gentleman wearing the navy blue. Then we also have the parties. And please excuse the mischief in this picture, where you have a client and you have a lawyer. Even though we say mediation is a party-driven process, it's very important to state that parties are allowed to bring their lawyers to come and to participate in it. Mr. Amos Tukura, please, can you mute yourself? You have unmuted yourself. Thank you so much. So it's very, very important to state that parties are allowed to come in with their lawyers, even though mediation is a party-driven process, and they can also assist in representing their clients. Now, you see, one thing you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that in mediation, everything matters, both from the way and manner you speak, your tonation, how balanced you are, your level, your sense of self-confidence, your tone, your posture, the way and manner you are seated. And please understand that one ingenious thing that Shati is doing that I like so much is the ingenuity, is the universality of what they are teaching, which you must have noticed from the diverse speakers that are being brought from all around the world. So you see, you should not only be, you should not only have emotional intelligence, you should also have what we call cultural sensitivity. You should also be culturally intelligent. Now, in Nigeria, whenever I have to mediate, I'm always cautious of how big Nigerians are on respect. So if I see someone that is slightly older than me, I cannot be on first name basis with the person. I would naturally assume the person wants to be referred to as a Mr. or a Mrs. or a chief. Now, when I mediate in Japan, I mediate in Washington, I just assume everybody wants to be on the first name basis. I don't use the word Mr. I don't use the word Miss. That is cultural intelligence. I cannot do that when I'm mediating in Nigeria. So you see, we need to be culturally sensitive in the way and manner we speak. And that's the beauty about the universality of mediation. You see, what you are being taught right now is the same thing you're going to be taught anywhere around the world. But you know what makes mediation in one country different from mediation in another country is its application. The application in the way, Mr. Amos, could you please mute yourself? It's a bit distracting for me, please. Thank you very much. Admin, can you please make me a co-host so I can start muting people? The noise is a bit distracting for me. Thank you. Okay, so that's basically what we are talking about. Now, let us now look at some of the elements of an opening statement. You see, an opening statement is how a mediator introduces the mediation session. You see, the way and manner you start says a lot about how well you are able to handle your mediation session. So the first thing we're going to look at is you introducing yourself. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Fola Alade. You may please address me as Mediator Fola, or you may address me as Mr. Fola. In the same breath, I also ask the parties to introduce themselves. And I address the parties in the way and manner they want to be addressed. Some may say, okay, it's fine. You may just call me Laura. Another may say, no, you may call me Janet. And some may insist that they want to be called in a certain way and manner. So it's very, very important that the way the parties say they want to be addressed should be the way you should address them. Now, you must have also noticed that before I started, I asked if I was audible, whether you could hear me. Now, in this part of the world, we struggle with network issues. So it's really very important that when you get online, you ask the parties whether they can hear you so that you can actually be able to do something about your network. And that's why I'd always advise that if you're going to be mediating online, always have a backup network provider, just in case your network does not go the way it should go. So like I said, you introduce yourself. You don't only introduce yourself, you tell the parties to also introduce themselves. Then you also commend parties for choosing mediation. Now, this is the part where you get to explain to the parties what mediation is all about. Like I said, a lot of them don't even know what mediation is. They sometimes assume that a mediator is a judge. And there have been scenarios where I've heard mediators address parties address a mediator as my lord. They don't, so they need to be able to understand that in mediation, you're a facilitator, you're a neutral. You don't make decisions for the parties. You assist the parties in making decisions for themselves. Then after doing that, the next thing you're going to do is to also explain the mediation process to them. I have seen from experience that when you take time out to explain the modalities of what you're doing with the parties, it's easier for them to follow through. It's easier for them to have an understanding of what is being done, And the mediation process, ladies and gentlemen, is divided into 3 parts. The first part is what is called the joint, the introductory, or the plenary session. Now, what do I mean by this? This is when the parties get to tell everyone what the issues are, and most importantly, what they want from the mediation session. You do that with party A, you do that with party B. And I must also state that in mediation, parties are called different names depending on the geography that they are in. Here in Nigeria, we mostly use applicant and respondent. What that essentially means, the applicant is the party that has applied for the case to be brought to mediation. The respondent is the party that is responding to the case brought by the applicant. In some other jurisdictions here in Nigeria, sometimes they use plaintiff and defendant. They use claimant and defendant. You know, in some outside of Nigeria, sometimes they use party A or party B, or sometimes they use the responding party. They use the responding party and the receiving party. They are all just basically a function of semantics, you know, which is basically talking about the party that has brought mediation, brought the party to the mediation session, and the other party that is responding to it. Now, please understand that during the mediation session, the mediator may want to have a private conversation with either of the parties. In doing so, he then decides to break into caucusing. Now, a caucus is a private and confidential session that the mediator chooses to have with any of the parties. And he usually does this for the sake of confidentiality. If there are certain things that he would like to dig deeper to have an understanding, of. Now, if at the end of the day he's able to okay, thank you so much for making me a co-host, so if at the end of the day he's able to do that, and he can then, depending on how the conversation goes, he can then move to what is called the concluding phase. So essentially, we have three processes where mediation is concerned. We have the joint, plenary, or the introductory phase, where the parties get to tell the mediator what the issue is and what they want from the mediation session. The second one is the caucusing, which is a private and confidential conversation that the mediator has with any of the parties to be able to dig deeper, to have an understanding of what the issues in contentions are. And of course, we then move to the concluding phase. Now, while you are able to explain all of this, the next thing you're going to also do is to also explain the benefits or the cornerstones of mediation. Now, I'm sure somewhere along the line, someone is thinking that, isn't this a lot? Am I going to be able to put all of this in my head? Not at all. So I will share, once I'm done, what is called a mediator's ground rules, which is like the second Bible of some sort that you would have with you anytime you are mediating. Like I said, I've been doing this for over 10 years now. I don't have any of these things committed to memory. Sometimes if it's a physical session, I have it written down. And if it's a virtual session, I have it on my notepad, and I then follow the sequence. So the next thing you're going to do is to also explain the benefits and cornerstones of mediation, because this is really very, very important, because the parties need to have an understanding of what is going to be happening. Top on the list, first of all, is confidentiality. And this is you explaining to the parties that mediation is confidential, and that anything and everything that is said will be within the confines of the mediation session. The second benefit that you're also to explain to the parties is voluntariness and flexibility. Now, what this essentially means is that mediation is not like the court system. You know, it would interest you to know that you can actually, sometimes I mediate wearing my polo t-shirt like this, but it's always advisable that as mediators, you are semi-formally dressed. You don't necessarily need to wear your wig and gown or wear a shirt and tie. Just be properly decent when you're dressing. You know, so it's flexible. It's also without prejudice. Now, for my non-lawyers I have here, when you say something is without prejudice, what this essentially means is that it cannot be used as evidence in a court of law. It's also neutral. And what does neutrality mean? That as a mediator, you don't have any bias or interest in the case. And it's self-determinant. What this essentially means is that you are going to assist the parties in finding an amicable resolution. So you find out that your opening statement is more or less like a lecture, which should take nothing less than 5 or 7 minutes, because you are taking time out to break down the modalities of what it is that is expected of the parties in mediation. Now, if you ask me, I dare say that this is the most important part of the mediation session, which is basically laying the ground rules for mediation. Because you see, where there is no law, there is no sin. And parties come into mediation session, sometimes wanting to take over the session, sometimes wanting to speak over and above everyone, and sometimes getting a bit insultive and argumentative. But once you have been able to establish some certain ground rules, this helps greatly. Top on the list is to ask the parties to either switch off their phones or put their phone on silent, you know, and you should also tell parties that they should ensure that they do not record what is going on in the mediation session. And most importantly, there should also be no interruptions, and there should be an agreement to speak in tongues. And there should also be no abusive languages, sarcasms or innuendos. All these points must be clearly read out to the parties to give them, that way the parties have an understanding of what it is that they are doing. And I always say this to that. Also remind the parties that mediation is voluntary, and that in the spirit of transparency, if they feel that you are being partial, they should call your attention to it. And if it persists, you will recuse yourself from the mediation session. So having gone through all of this, it's also important to confirm authority and representation. Now, this takes us back to the initial slide of talking about authority, because the parties present must be able to take decisions on behalf of the company that they are representing. So that is why a letter of authority is important. Now, having said all of this, you then pause and ask if the parties have any questions. At this point, parties will ask questions. They may need clarity on one or two things. So it behoves on you to take your time out to explain these points to them. Now, once this has been done, you then invite the parties to make their opening presentation. And in making the opening presentation, it's important to guide the parties on what to be said. And that's why you should always ask the parties, please tell us what the issues are. That's number one. And what you want from the mediation session. Please don't forget that everybody wants something. It's a dispute. The dispute has brought them to the mediation session. So definitely they want something. And what they say they want. Now, can you see the way this conversation is flowing seamlessly, you know, from you being prepared as a mediator to your opening statement. In your opening statement, you can see the format I've given you to follow. Now, having followed the format, you can see how from the opening statement, you are now moving to the agenda phase. Now, the agenda phase is the backbone of mediation, because at the opening statement, when you tell the parties to tell you what they want, the agenda will put structure into it, because the agenda is the position phase. That is when the parties say this is what they want. You know, it helps you structure the mediation process. And I'll tell you why the agenda phase is very, very important. You'll find out that if you don't have an agenda, the parties may just come in, and in between you trying to resolve one point, they try to bring up another point that did not exist. And that is why the POA is extremely important, because it puts structure in the way and manner you resolve disputes. So it's at the agenda phase that the parties tell you what the problems are. You know, you have an understanding of what the issues are, and then see, and you have it written down somewhere. So it's like I said, that's basically where the mediator will hear both sides. You know, right now I can see, let's assume there is a misunderstanding between Atoyebi and Ezekiel. You know, so it's at the agenda phase that Atoyebi can say, okay, fine, I engage the services of Ezekiel to supply 100 boxes of bags of cement. I paid Ezekiel 1 million for it. Ezekiel did not give me did not supply. I've had to go and buy the cement outside for extra cost. So right now I'm here in mediation. I'm asking that Ezekiel should refund my 1 million naira and also pay 500,000 naira as damages. You know, so now what Atoyebi has said, that is her position. That is what she wants. You know, so then on the flip side, as a mediator, you go back and meet Ezekiel. So Ezekiel, this is what Atoyebi has said. So can I have your own account? And Ezekiel may explain that, yes, I'm not disputing the fact that I was not engaged for XYZ services, but somewhere along the line, something happened, blah, 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 blah. So he can then get to react to what Atoyebi's demands are. So it's really, really very important, ladies and gentlemen, that you have an understanding of an effective agenda setting in mediation. Because you see, an agenda will give you structure. An agenda will set out the clarity, because most times conflicts can be chaotic. You know, there's so much going on, but with an agenda, you are able to guide the parties if they go off track. So, and the beauty about an agenda, again, is that it helps you build trust and neutrality. Because first of all, the parties have an understanding of what it is that you're doing. You know, there's a semblance of the fact that, okay, yes, this mediator knows what he's doing. And it also helps you to break down complex disputes into manageable parts, you know, depending on the variables involved and what each parties want, especially if the issues are multi-twined or intertwined, you know. So that way, the mediator is able to help the parties manage to basically reduce and overwhelm and help the parties to also focus on what the issues are. Now, we have different styles of the table of agenda. For some people, they like to have it written down on the notepad. For some people, they like to have it like this, so like this. So this right now is what is called the table of agenda. And like I explained to you, the names may differ, but they essentially mean the same thing. So in other countries, they use requesting and responding party. So a requesting party is the party that has requested for mediation. You understand? The responding party is the party that is responding to the request of the other party. So this is a tabular form that can be followed. Party A, Ezekiel wants maybe a refund of 1 million naira. She wants what's it called? She also wants 500,000 naira as compensation, and she wants a letter of apology. Now that is basically what she wants. Now for Ezekiel, in response, Ezekiel might say, okay, fine, that he does not have the money to pay and that he needs 1 or 2. So whatever it is that Ezekiel says he wants, you write it down there. You now know what you do. You now merge the agendas into one single agenda that you can then take one after the other. But please understand this, ladies and gentlemen, that you see, and that's why I tell people one thing, that mediation is a lot like playing chess. Because you need to be able to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. Now, understand that as a mediator, you do not play in the position arena for the parties. And when I'm talking about position, I think by now you should understand position is what the parties say they want. Atoyebi wants 1 million naira from Ezekiel. That's a position. Now, but as a mediator, you take the parties from the arena of the position, you take them into the arena of the interest phase. And what is the interest? The interest is when the parties tell you why they want what they want. Now, for somebody like Atoyebi, why does she want 1 million naira? That's the amount she paid Ezekiel, So she's demanding for 1 million naira. Now, why she asked for 500,000 as compensation? So because she needed to have the supply of cement done that day, she had to incur considerable cost in getting that the cement. So she's had to pay more for it. So that is why she's asked for an extra 500,000 naira. And she's asking for an apology because she feels slighted. So can you see how she has been able to give you justification for how she arrived at 1.5 million naira? Now, try and imagine a scenario where the same Atoyebi asks for she's asking for maybe 50 million naira. She will struggle when you get to the interest phase, because if she paid Ezekiel 1 million naira for cement, where is the remaining 49 million naira coming from? She says, oh, okay, fine, that she suffered considerable stress and all that. But the question now is this: so are you saying down that the stress you suffered cost 49 million? So you see why a smart mediator will always take parties from the arena of position, where parties say they want what they want, to the arena of interest, which is why they say why they want what they want. It may sound like a bit of tongue twister, but let us look at what I have here on the screen. A position is what the party says what that they want. Using the Atoyebi and Ezekiel metaphor, it's stated as demand. It's usually rigid. It's what she wants that she wants. She doesn't focus on the why. She's only focused on the what. I want 10 million naira in damages. So how are you able to get parties to negotiate on position? It's difficult. So that is why, as a mediator, you take them from the position to the interest, which is usually the underlying reason, as to why they said as to the position. Now, the beauty about a position is that it does not only reflect concern, it also reflects integrity. You are able to have an understanding of the fears. It's flexible. It's negotiable. So at the interest phase, you may be able to have a conversation with the party whether she's willing to come down on certain amounts. So it's basically where the mediator has a proper understanding of what the issues in contention are. And I must also state that as a mediator, it's really very important that you have an understanding of the difference between a position and an interest, because that is the arena you'll be playing in. A position is what the parties say they want. The interest is why they say they want what they want. And you see, when you understand that distinction, you're able to help parties move beyond an impasse. You're able to help them uncover common ground And it also helps you with an interest-based negotiation. I would assume that this has also been taken care of during the negotiation conversation, because I'll tell you one thing for free, ladies and gentlemen, mediation is facilitated negotiation, because essentially both parties are negotiating, and so everybody is making use of different tools of negotiation. Now, the mediator is making use of what is called the facilitative tool of negotiation. Now, what do I mean by the facilitative tool of negotiation? He is trying to get both of you to shift position. But the parties in the mediation session are making use of what is called the interest-based negotiation. They are only worried about what they want, and how well they're able to push the parties to get what they want. So it's really very important that you have an understanding of the distinction between a position and an interest. Now, if you ask me, the options phase is the most powerful phase in mediation, because once you've been able to identify what the parties say they want, that's just one phase. Once you have been able to establish why the parties say why they say they want what they want, it's always a tongue twister. The powerful phase now is how you are able to get the parties to come up with as many options as possible. Because I'll tell you one thing for free, ladies and gentlemen, the man with the options controls the system, and the options phase, like I said, does not essentially resolve disputes, but it makes the resolution possible. I'm going to go back to the analogy of Atoyebi and Ezekiel. So let's assume Ezekiel is saying now that, okay, I'm so sorry, I can't afford 1.5. I can't afford 1.5 million naira. Why? Because I had already bought the goods. And it was while the goods was coming to you that the car developed a problem. And somehow, some way, there was no network on the line. So there was no way for me to even reach you. So I don't even have the 1 million naira to refund, but I have the product. So what some of the options I'm asking is that, can you give me some time to sell the product to somebody else? And when I sell the product to somebody else, I will get the money and I'll pay you. That's an option. The second option again that Ezekiel that can also be on the table is that Atoyebi may say, okay, fine. You know what? Can you sell this particular goods that you have at a discount, since you've already bought it? It's an option, or you could give me a discount on future benefits. You see, the more options as a mediator you are able to help the parties come up with, the easier it is for you to resolve. Now, one of the reasons why there's always a deadlock in mediation is because parties have limited options on the table. So even though you're not allowed to tell the parties what to do, but you can assist them in coming up with options. I ask you the question. So now that Mr. Ezekiel has said that he does not have 1.5 million, are there any other options you have on the table? So you are able to come up with as many options as possible. You see, once you are able to come up with enough options that the parties can agree on, the fifth and the final phase is almost a walk in the park, and that is the agreement phase. Because let's assume Atoyebi and Ezekiel have basically agreed on the fact that the cement that she would give him some time to sell the cement for a refund. They've agreed. So all they just need to do is just to put it into writing, and they execute. So for me as a person, and this is subjective, the options phase is the most powerful phase, because you see, it helps the parties feel like the agreement is owned, and if you handle phase 4 well, phase 5, like I said, becomes natural. The agreement feels owned, not imposed. Compliance is also very easy. But if you rush through options 4, maybe you are only able to get both of them to come up with one options, they grudgingly accede, then that means that the agreement that they're going to come up with is going to be a fragile agreement. Compliance will be reluctant, and more often than not, conflicts may resurface later on. So it's really very important that in not too many words, that you see, where phase 4 is concerned, rigid positions soften, because for Atoyebi now, it's no longer about the 1 million naira now. She's thinking, yeah, so there are other options on the table. What if I'm able to buy these goods at a cheaper price? What if I'm able to do XYZ, XYZ? So you see, now the parties are no longer fighting about what the past. They're no longer fighting about what brought them to the mediation session. They are now beginning to look at they are beginning to look at future, which is forward ever, backward never. So the options phase, ladies and gentlemen, that's the real work of the mediation. that is where your expertise will come into place. That is where your skill will come into place. That is where your ingenuity will come into place, because this is where the real work of mediation comes in. Others, you can just be pushing them. So having said that much, there are certain key techniques that are very important in the options phase. Number one is what is called reality testing. Let's assume that Toyobi is coming in and she's saying, now, you know what? I don't care. I want my 1.5 million naira. And then you would also ask, what would happen if Ezekiel can't pay the 1.5 million naira? I don't care. They'll go to court. So, but are you aware of the fact that when you go to court, you may be in court for like maybe 4 or 5 years? You see, now she's already thinking, with the way Nigeria is right now, it's not better for me to collect this my money now than to go to court and spend maybe 5 or 10 years. See, that is reality testing. So essentially, that is the tool that a mediator uses, to get the parties to move position. You see, it is better than arguing with the party. It is better than you telling the parties, why will you not do X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z? Because a lot of times, these parties don't even understand what is going on. It's also where you also get it is not arguing with the party, rather. It's not also a scenario where you're pointing out the weaknesses of the parties to them. You are basically helping the parties to examine the real world consequences of the action. And what is the consequence of the action? We don't resolve now, we go back to courts. And I'm sure you know that one of the basic advantages of mediation is the speed. The fact that you can come in and have your disputes resolved very quickly. So you see, with the reality testing, you're able to help the parties stress test the options they have on the table and basically help them to look at the future in a way and manner things should be done. So you should be able to time your reality testing carefully. And you see, this is why I'm just going to digress a bit. Why I will say that, you see, becoming a good mediator is actually very easy, because the skill, and if you notice what it's called, they usually call it mediation skills test and training. You see, you only become good at mediation when you practice. That's the hack, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you can attend seminars, you can read books, you can attend conferences, but you see, you only become a good mediator when you mediate. And why I'm giving that as a background is knowing when to call for reality testing. Sometimes if you bring in reality testing too early, it can kill creativity. It can shut the parties down because they don't see the need to. And sometimes if you call it too late, it might sometimes lead to unrealistic agreements. So calling for a reality test is a lot like opening a safe. You can only do that when there are so many options on the table, when the parties are favoring certain ideas. And you can only know when to call for reality testing through experience. So these are the things that you should please have at the back of your mind. And like I said, if you are able to do the options phase very, very well, it automatically flows into the agreement phase. And what is the agreement phase? The agreement phase, they call it the agreement phase. Sometimes they call it the settlement phase. You see, this is where you then contextualize all that has been agreed upon. Now, if you notice from what I have here agreement phase, if any. So please understand the fact that not all mediation sessions will end in a successful settlement. For some reasons, the parties may choose not to settle. And that's why it behoves on you as a mediator to ensure that you do what is expected of you. Now, sometimes parties wonder that, okay, fine, but I'm not a lawyer. How can I draft an agreement? Let's just thank God for ChatGPT, thank God for artificial intelligence, thank God for Manus and all that. So this is now, so you can do it two ways. For coming up with a settlement agreement, you have some templates that you can follow. So all you need to do is just to include the scenario of what the parties have agreed upon into the template, or you just put it on ChatGPT. Just tell ChatGPT that this is acting as a mediator. The parties have been able to agree on XYZ, 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 come up with a settlement agreement. And that's why I always advocate for the fact that as much as you may be coming into mediation session, ladies, coming into mediation, you cannot take away technology from the scheme of things. So it's one of two things. You can use a template, or you can use ChatGPT to be able to come up with a simple agreement, really, because ADR is not only meant for lawyers alone. So the complexity that may come with a standard agreement, it may not be needed if you are a non-lawyer. But it's also very, very important that there are certain generic clauses that must be put in that agreement. First, the parties, who are those to be bound by the agreement? What issues have been resolved? What are the obligations to be expected? Is there a deadline ascribed to it? Is there payment? What are the payment terms? What amount? Is it instrumental payment? And of course, because the agreement is through mediation, there has to be a confidentiality clause. There also has to be a dispute resolution clause. What this means is that if the parties breach the agreement, what will invariably happen. So it's also very, very important to add that you should ensure that your agreement is simple, it's understandable. So as much as possible, try and avoid vague languages, overly complex languages, and also leaving key terms for later discussion. Also, please ensure that the agreement is all encompassing. And that, because brings to end my training for today. Now, one of the reasons why I try to move fast, ladies and gentlemen, is just to have 2 minutes to say this to you. And it's just the fact that mediation is simple, and there has to be a level of urgency in trying to understand how mediation works. I put it to you. You see, this right now that we have is like a mini ecosystem of some of you, and I'm sure that I don't know whether Mr. Nanchang has a WhatsApp group for you, but you see, if you are able to do a role play of at least 40 mediation sessions, you're going to be very, very good. It's a lot like driving. If you compare the first day you drove a car to how you are driving now, the only reason why you're as good as you say you are right now is because of consistency. So that's the hack. Practice, practice, practice. It's not only even practicing alone, it's you also having a proper understanding of the POA-IOA. You understand the P for preparation. Opening statement, what is it you say to the parties? Agenda, what the parties say they want. Interest, why they say they want what they want. Options phase, how many options are you able to help them create? And the agreement, if any. So any other thing you want to do will be within the ambit of these 6 phases that I mentioned. And on this note, I bring my class to an end. So I believe I have like maybe 4 or 5 minutes more. Like I always say, engagement is the strength of clarity. So please, if you have any question, you have feedback, you have comments, now will be a good time to take it. And if there's any gray area that needs proper explanation or re-explanation, kindly please let me know. Thank you. So if you have any questions, you can please unmute yourself and ask.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And we are very glad to have you, and we actually enjoyed the lecture very much. So, sir, my question has to do with your personal experience, sir.
Yes,
so
sir.
far, what aspect of commercial negotiations have you found challenging, and how did you surmount that so that we can learn from it, sir? Just from your personal experience. Thank you, sir.
The interesting, that's a very good question, Mr. Musa. The interesting thing about your question is that we don't actually have difficult mediation sessions. You know what we have? We have difficult people. There are no difficult mediation sessions. We have difficult people. Some of the most complex cases I've had to handle were resolved because the parties were amenable to it. And simple cases like landlord and tenant, you understand, was very, very difficult to, because the parties were not amenable to it. So what I usually do is to pace my mediation sessions, and how do I pace it? In the sense that I just focus on the interest. Everybody wants something, Mr. Omar. It's just for you to be able to identify what it is that they want. Everybody wants something, so it's for you to identify what it is they want and trying to see how you are able to balance expectations. So it really has to do with the parties. Some parties sometimes come into your mediation sessions they don't want to settle. They're just there to waste your time and my time. So you never really can say that there's a clear fixed way. The only response I'll give to you is that follow the POA-IOA. You understand? When you get to the options phase, try and get as many options as possible and try and see how you can lead them. But invariably, you know, a lot of times it doesn't even have to do with the case itself. It has more to do with the parties concerned. So I don't know whether that answers your questions, Mr. Omar. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, Mr. Omar. So I don't know, is there any other question, any feedback, any comments from anyone? Okay, so in the absence of none, I would like to thank you for having me. I'd like to thank Shati. This is technically my first time of having a paid training sessions with them, and I'm hoping to have many more. I believe I'm going to be back on Monday again to take maybe communication or something. So, Mr. Nantan,
sorry, sir. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, so sorry, sir. Before you, I don't know if you can briefly explain to us the effect of not having a proper opening statement, whether it has any effect on the mediation, and if you want to, as for those who are learning, if you want to do an opening statement, is it something that you should cram, put it in your head, or is there a way you can go about it so that you will not be mistaken?
Okay, so the simple response to what you just asked, Mr. Nanchan, I've shared it, I've just posted it now for everybody to see. So like I said, I don't have all what I just said in my head. I just shared the document for everybody to see. It's called the Mediator's Ground Rules, which essentially states the parameters of what to be followed. Now, so this is usually what I do in my mediation sessions. You know, I have the ground rules opened, you know, somewhere on my screen. And once it is opened, I just take it one after the other, you see. Excuse me, you can see that it is labeled, you know, labeled in the sense that we have what is to be said. You know, number one is the introduction of self. You know, you're introducing the mediation session and you're telling the parties to also introduce themselves. Now, from that again, I also check to find out whether parties can hear me. You know, from there again, I'm also I'm commending parties for choosing mediation. You know, I'm also explaining my role as a mediator. And apart from that too, again, you know, I'm explaining the mediation process. You can see it's already there. I'm explaining the benefits of mediation is there. So the short response to your question, Mr. Nanchang, is that just have this document with you. Whichever way and manner you feel best using it, you can go ahead and use it. If you want to print out, you can print out. If you want to have it on your screen, you can have it on your screen. Like I said, all this is I said, I don't have it in my head. This is the template I follow. You know, I follow one, the introduction, checking settings online, commending parties for choosing mediation, explaining the role of mediators, the benefits of mediation, laying the ground rules, and all this till number 12, till number 11, and that is it. So that's the simple response. Nobody needs to cram anything. I don't know whether that answers your question, Mr. Nanchang.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Then finally, this process or stages of mediation.
I'm sorry?
Must it be followed? Can you start from anywhere, or it has to be structured if it has to be formal?
So it has to be structured, and I'll tell you why. If you don't follow the POAIOA, you will struggle, because you cannot talk about options without even having an idea of what the parties want. You know, you cannot talk about interest without talking about positions first. So what you will do is that you end up confusing yourself, because look at how it flows. P, preparation. You need to prepare for your mediation session now. Opening statement, the parties need to have an understanding of what mediation is all about. They need to know who you are. They need to be able to have an understanding of what the issue is. So imagine you taking the opening statement at the end. The agenda is what the parties say that they want. Imagine you taking that at the agreement phase. The I is why they say they want what they want. The options phase is you be able to get as many options as possible. So if you see, your inability to follow this process is the reason why when you go to some certain mediation sessions, it looks as if the mediators are struggling, because they don't have an established framework. They don't have a trajectory that they are following. So it is always advisable that they follow that framework, sir. If not, they will struggle. Thank you. Okay, you say you can't download it. I'm going to send it again, but Can anybody see it, please? If you can please please share with her. What I can also do, ma'am, is that I can also send it to Mr. Nanchang, and Mr. Nanchang can also forward it directly to you, if that would help. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome.
Right, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I hope there is no any other question. Mr.
No
Fola is my
question per
mentor,
se.
so it's a.
Can I go on? No, what I was going to say was, Mr. Fola, so by summary, what you're looking at is one should have a checklist, and he should have it there. It also helps possibly with getting certain consents along, because after you must have done your opening statements, you want to be sure everybody is consenting to it. Possibly you have some documentation that they would have to sign to agree that they want Mr. Fola Alade to be the mediator and not Nangchang, or they want Nangchang and not you. And so that each step is agreed on as you're going, and you tick your checklist. That would be a summary of what you're saying from A to Z.
You're very correct, sir. And but all what you have mentioned, sir, all those ones fall into what's called the pre-mediation phase. You understand? I mean, that's which is also under the preparation phase, the signing of the agreement, the appointment of the mediators, among so many other things. So I think I like the word you use. It's a checklist. You know, it helps you to move on and all of that. So you're correct, sir. It serves as a checklist.
All right. So thank you so much, sir. Fola is our mentor, so we're also looking, we are utilizing the opportunity to learn as opportunity presents itself. So, sir, before I let you go, one more question. There is this concept of a mediator should maybe tear off his documents or his notes in the course of after the mediation session, to tear off the shred his notes. So I don't know what is the appropriate or the legality or the how will I put it? Is it okay or not for the mediator to keep, or what is the standard practice?
So what you have just explained, sir, falls under the principle of confidentiality, you know, and confidentiality in the bit that the process of what you have done must be respected. Now, for someone like myself, I'm very honest with you, I don't think I've I don't think I've held a pen in the last maybe 3 weeks. I don't write anymore. You know, everything I do is online. I sign online. I do everything online. So if I'm having my mediation sessions, I have a notepad, an online notepad. So once the parties are done, or once I'm done with the mediation session, I automatically delete it. So by implication, why it is always advisable that you tear those notes is because you do not want them to fall into wrong hands. You know, you don't want a scenario whereby someone that is not a party to the mediation session is already catching a glance of what the parties have agreed upon. So it's just a standard of professionalism, really. There is no, if you decide not to, it's not illegal, but you know, it does not respect the process of confidentiality in terms of the way and manner a process should go, to the effect that it's only those that are in the session that should be privy to it. So it's more a function of professionalism and appropriateness, like you put it, as opposed to whether it is legal or illegal. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Fola, for the opportunity to hear you speak to us and to the participants. As I said, Fola is somebody you would like to listen to. He's our mentor. In fact, I was privileged to meet him some years back when he gave me a lot of assignments to go and listen to all the things that he has, the seminars, the training he has conducted online, and then before I can get back to him. So some of us came out with passion to pursue mediation, and that I'm actually privileged today to invite him to speak in a platform where we have created as a result of the interaction that we had together. He has been very, very instrumental in coaching me. And if Ola is your mentor, I remember one of the mediation sessions we did. Maybe he will not remember. He asked us to do the mentees. We did a session, and then when Fola criticized the things we did, I felt like the ground should just open. I should just, disappear, at the moment. So I believe that some of those constructive criticism has actually shaped what I am today. And then I'm actually happy that we are still looking up to him. He has been going places, and we're hoping that we'll be able to hold his briefcase to some of those places. Thank you so much, Fola. I don't know how to thank him, because if I say on behalf of the Governing Council of Settlement House Area Training Institute, he is one of the members of the Governing Council. So on behalf of yourself, sir, and other members of the Governing Council, I want to say thank you so much for creating time to be with us. We are going to be having Fola again, I think on Monday in the morning.
Yeah, 10 a.m.
His class is not something you want to miss. Please prepare and be ready to take part in it. So thank you so much, Mr. Fola, for that wonderful time. Please put on your camera so that we can have a snapshot. Mr. Fola will see some of his trainees, and for record purpose, please put on your cameras if you can.
Thank you so much. And I would also please crave your indulgence. For those that want to follow me, you can also follow me on LinkedIn, for Lalade. So basically, what we do is,
Yes, sir, you can also drop your LinkedIn this thing on the chat. I believe that they will click on to connect with
yeah,
you. It's
it's just
easier.
actually okay. I'll do that while the picture is being taken. Okay.
Please put on your camera. Let's see your beautiful faces. Those faces hidden behind the camera. Remember that we're also taking this as attendance. So when your face is not on the attendance, I believe that you have missed one day out of the the training. So you have to repeat the sessions. Yes, please quickly, so that we can allow Mr. Fola to go, and then we conclude. Please, the LinkedIn profile is there. If you're on LinkedIn, just click on the profile. You will connect with Mr. Fola, and he will connect with you. You are going to get access to a lot of other resources and materials, including trainings, that you may want to take part in. And more importantly, Mr. Fola also does practical mediations, because we are also learning. After your training, we'll create platform for you to practice. But Fola has a platform for practice. He calls it the Mediation Clinic. If I'm correct, Mr. Fola.
Yeah, correct. Mediation
So,
clinic.
so in case you want to do expert consultation, you want to participate, please reach out to me. I'll connect you with Mr. Fola, so that he is my mentor, you are my mentees. Then Fola will see how he will be able to manage us, because you are his grandchildren. So we can create that session, and then we'll reach out to him. Thank you very much, Mr. Fola. So I'm going to take the photograph, the picture now. Please put on your camera. All right. And then you can also take this picture, so that we can have. Good. I can see Mr. Achi. Good. He leads. Ooh. Good. Okay. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, sir. See you again on Monday, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right. So thank you for being available from the beginning of the training to this time. I believe that you have been having an interesting time and moments, in the course of this training. These are just foundational. We need to establish the foundation of these things before we go into proper the TOT proper. So please feel free. If you have questions, you need clarifications, please ensure that you ask, get those clarifications so that we will make sure that we are all on the same page. Next on our okay. So we have this, let me see, just a minute. So who can tell us what we have next on our timetable? What do we have?
Can I make a suggestion, sir?
Yes.
It appears the way we are going is too stressful, and that maybe after each class we could have a little break before coming back. This back
No,
to
we
back.
are just at the verge of concluding the session for today. It's not as though we are taking another class.
What we have now is practical and presentation, but I don't understand how we're going to do, because nobody has had time to write down or prepare his practical or what the presentation is going to be about and all that.
Yeah, so we are going to we are going to just use the few minutes we have.
Tell them I'm using it, that I'm on online class C. I'm using all of them now. I have all my things.
Okay, so if you are not speaking, you can put your you can mute yourself so that. All right, so just quickly, we are going to just have a little summary of what we have learned for today, and then we will call it a day. We should close in the next by 5 o'clock, God willing, and then see how tomorrow. By tomorrow, we are going to have interesting time and moments. So just a quick one. Who can tell us the topic we started with today? The topic we started with today. Okay. So who can share with us?
We started with law of contract as the foundation of ADR.
Okay. Now, please, who can tell us why the law of contract is the foundation of ADR?
Because it's something about agreements and negotiation.
Okay.
You say it is rooted
a legal
in the law of
basis
contract.
for enforcement.
Okay, the legal basis for enforcement. Okay. Any other? Any other?
Yeah, again, because it is voluntary, so because of its own voluntariness, so it's contractual and consensual.
Okay. So at what point will an agreement not be enforceable? At what point will an agreement not be enforceable? Okay, so if I tell my son that I'm going to buy chocolate for him, and I fail to do so, can my son take a legal action against me?
That cannot
Well,
be
he
enforced.
wouldn't.
Social. As falls under
Pardon?
domestic or social agreement. That falls under social or domestic agreements. And it cannot be
Okay.
enforced.
Actually, it is enforceable
An
with
agreement
blackmail,
cannot be
emotional blackmail.
enforceable if it is against the law.
Is it against the law?
Yes, you are the law. As the father, you are the law.
Okay.
So another
But it can be
perspective.
enforced with emotional blackmail.
Mm-hmm.
He will now start crying to you, Daddy, but you didn't buy it, Daddy. Why? And he will enforce it quietly. You will go and buy it in the middle of the night.
Okay. So, but ordinarily, without emotional blackmail, will it be enforceable?
No.
No.
Okay. If somebody promise a lady that is going to marry her, and then he failed to marry her, can she take a legal action?
Well,
promise,
that has been
a
challenged
promise
in
of
court a
marriage is
few times.
enforceable.
Yes,
Pardon?
I think
It has
he
been
can take a legal
challenged in
action.
court a few times, but
It's
you
enforceable.
cannot force parties to cohabit. So it will hit a wall. But what she can do, or what the person can do, is claim damages for whatever he or she would have done, which has been also seen in some cases in court, where the man would say he demands a refund of all the things he spent because she had promised to marry him and he puts his interest, or she demands because he didn't marry her. But you cannot force two people who do not want to stay together to stay. The court cannot force that.
The person contract is all about damages. So you pay
Okay.
damage.
Sorry,
Okay.
I have a question. Acha. Are we talking about the courts now or in mediation?
Yeah, we are looking at the foundation because you see the reason why we did that, and we particularly take that course, was because that is the foundation of most of the mediations that we have. So you have a situation where somebody takes an action and say he promised to marry me, okay, and I've been sleeping with him. He promised to marry me, I've been cooking for him, and he promised to buy a car for me, and then he didn't buy it. And then if you have this kind of scenario, maybe they take it to court, from court they bring it to ADR. As the ADR practitioner, you must have a perfect understanding of what is a contract and what is not contract, so that
As
it
per
will
what is
guide you on
enforceable?
how to. Pardon?
As per what is enforceable?
Yes, you should know how to, if it is an enforceable contract or it's not an enforceable contract, that will guide you on how to facilitate the session, remember, and how to do your reality testing. Do you understand?
Yes.
So it's a foundation. Social relationships, I don't know, political relationship seems to also fall under that kind of because they told us that their fundamental principles or directive of state policy or something like that, and they are not enforceable. So if you take your representative to court and say he has not provided social amenities, remember we have political related disputes. So if you take your member of the Senate, or governor to court and say he has not provided social amenities among other things and say he must do so, you will, so, and the matter now comes for settlement, you should be able to understand. That understanding, it's not as though you are going to be speaking or saying these things, right, in the course of your mediation. But you see, everybody who mediates works from an understanding that is from within. So you understand that, okay, this is an unenforceable contract. You understand that this is a contract. You understand that this kind of relationship have intention to create a binding contractual relationship such that when there is a breach, then damages can follow. When you have that understanding is in your head, just like when you are privileged to get to know the parties' relationship and the propellant or the pillars of a dispute from your interaction with the parties in caucusing. You may not ordinarily come out and say, oh, this party A said this and party B says this, but that you have gotten information that will guide you, the type of question, the type of approach, the type of things you are going to do in the course of the mediation. For example, I did a mediation where party A, who happens to be the defendant, is willing to pay, let's say, 1 million. The other party on the other side who is bringing the matter is willing to accept 500,000 naira. This information I got from caucusing. Now, when we came to the joint section, the question now is, if I ask the person, that's the plaintiff in this case, if I ask him, from all that we have discussed, what will you want? I know that definitely he will want to say, I want him to pay me the sum of 500,000 naira. But I am privy to an information that the defendant is willing to pay up to 1 million naira. That's information at my own disposal. So I use that information and use my discretion to see if I can assist the cause of. So instead of asking the defendant, instead of asking the plaintiff, I ask the defendant, please, can you tell us what you are willing to offer, what you are willing to assist in offering in order to see that this matter is fully settled? And then you say, okay, okay. Let me see. I can give a million naira. Then at that point, you know that I don't need to, because I know that the plaintiff is willing to accept 500. So when he says 1 million, I know that definitely the plaintiff is going to accept it. Right? So that's information I have, the understanding I have, either from the parties, from the knowledge I've acquired, from my understanding as a lawyer, from the law of contract, among several other things that is working in my head, that will guide me on how to go about my session. I don't know if we understand. Hello?
Hello, sis.
Yes.
Well done.
Okay. All right. So, finally, we have learned the law of contract, which is the foundation. We have also learned about mediation clause. That's the standard mediation clause. And I believe that we have taken notes. We are going to ask you to draft mediation clauses, ADR clauses for Settlement House ADR Training Institute, to be part of it. So begin to rehearse and do you have different mediation clauses. I'm just giving you a heads up. So you draft a mediation clause, standard mediation clause for Settlement House for use for Settlement House ADR Training Institute. That's one of the things that we're going to do. And then we learned about facilitative, evaluative, and transformative. Please, quickly, can somebody tell us what is, one person should tell us what he understands by facilitative, why facilitative, and then another person, why evaluative, and another person, why is it transformative? Okay, I'm going to call him. If I don't see a response. Okay. Mr. Ezekiel. I worship Rebecca. And please, this he leads. Who is he leads? Can you just tell us, Ezekiel, why do we do a facilitative mediation? Then I worship, why transformative, and then why evaluative? Quickly, anyone? Okay,
Sir,
I
you said
worship.
why transformative and why evaluative?
Yes, mediation. You know, we did evaluative,
Yes,
transformative, and
yes.
yes.
Okay. For me, why transformative? The benefit for me is that it's kind of allows parties to freestyle. It's in their hands. It's in the hands of the parties to actually transform their problems to something great, to transform it into to innovate. Like from their problems, they can now come together and set some rules at the middle ground that they will now work with. And it's best for very sensitive related disputes like religious disputes, disputes that have to do with beliefs, biases, anything that has to do with religion and tribe. They are actually sensitive. And then parties that are disputing in parties that have issues related to ethnicity, religion, if it is that kind of dispute, you find out that they are very stubborn because it is difficult to change someone's beliefs and mindsets. So it is better to allow the parties to allow the mediation to be in their hands in such a way that they will transform that dispute into something great. They'll have these middle points. They'll come to a middle ground and then have something to work with, come to an agreement. Then for evaluative, for
Okay, you have
me,
done
I think
enough. It's okay, your worship. Let Ezekiel tell us about facilitative. Thank you, your worship.
all right. Thank you.
Ezekiel. Okay. Ezekiel, are you sure we'll mark your attendance? Abdul. I can't even see him again. Where is Abdul? Okay, Mr. Umar. Can you tell us about why facilitative?
Okay. Thank you, sir. So, for me, facilitative because that happens to be the foundation of mediation, whereby you will begin by actually trying to identify the issues and encourage the parties rather than suggesting or proposing solutions to them. So you will now be provide a kind of facilitation for them to reach a more flexible agreement in such a way that the dispute will be settled. Facilitating in the sense that, yes, as a mediator, your aim is to ensure that you facilitate the parties coming to an amicable resolution of the dispute.
Okay. Thank you. Facilitative. The mediator takes the lead to guide the parties to discuss their issues, right? Mr. Amos, can you tell us about transformative? No, evaluative. Mr. Amos is not here. Is he speaking? I've asked him to unmute. But other people are supposed to click the unmute button and then you speak. Okay. Umar Akko Elias, tell us about evaluative. Okay. Mr. Akko is not here. We are not hearing you. Is it that people have been muted? We are not hearing you.
I'm trying to unmute, but it's as if network is a bit bad. Can you hear me, sir?
Go ahead.
As I'm trying to unmute, as the network is somehow lost.
Okay, go ahead. Mr. Akko.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Why facilitating?
I think we're talking about evaluative mediation. Okay. So Mr. Walid.
Yes.
Please, you round up by telling us why negotiation in mediation.
Well, negotiation and mediation. Generally, mediation is all negotiative, but then when you outline it as negotiation, as a unit type, we should. Sorry, my grandchildren are all here. I've got all the boys jumping around me, so you have background noise. But now, when you're negotiating, you're trying to find the middle point, an acceptable pathway for everybody to have a win-win situation. And to be a good negotiator, you have to balance the needs of the people, their interests, and boundary of agreement and midpoint for each person. So with negotiation, you're negotiating for the wife, just like the case we gave. just like the example with the woman and the man, or the man wanting a refund for what he has spent, or the woman, you negotiate, you reach a midpoint where everybody will be comfortable. You being the negotiator in this case, has privy to information that you have prepared everybody's mind to agree. So by the time they come out, not on their own one side blank point, negotiation brings them to a middle point where everybody goes home happy. Just like we did in our example, say buying apples, we agreed we wouldn't get at 430. We wouldn't get at 400 and she wouldn't get at 430. So we agreed on a middle point. We negotiated to a point where it was okay for everybody. So negotiation in mediation comes in very useful because it brings a middle point and an output that is agreeable and enforceable, because you have negotiated what the person can do, like that. In addition, please, I pray we'll get the soft copies of all these documents that were used today on the group. Thank you very much. I hope I answered it right. Nobody say I don't fail exam by play.
Okay, so all right. Mediation is actually facilitating. Negotiation and mediation are just the same. It's just that one requires the assistance of a third party. So mediation is assisted negotiation, while negotiation takes place between the parties involved. Abdurrahman, Daddy told you to come back, because they are looking for you already.
My network was fluctuating. My network was fluctuating.
Okay. So you finally will you want to tell us the important stage? What stage is very important in mediation? From what we have learned from the last class.
The introduction stage.
Why introduction?
Stage. Because that's where you're going to lay your foundation, the ground basis for your mediation. So if that goes wrong, the whole mediation goes wrong.
Okay, introduction or preparation.
Introduction and preparation.
Is it introduction, between introduction and preparation? Which one?
No, introduction.
Okay, introduction. Do we agree with him?
Preparation.
Preparation.
I'll go with preparation.
Okay, can you explain to us briefly?
If you don't prepare for the mediation by lining out what you want done, how you want it done, and the limits of each party, in the end, they may end up overstepping or end up creating conflict during the negotiation.
I see. All right, so preparation is key. In your preparation, you get to know the parties, their style, their personalities. You get to know what interests them, what they value, what they don't like, so that you will not just go and say something that will make them close their mind to the mediation session. Let me use this opportunity to thank all of you for creating time to be with us from the beginning of this training in the morning till now. I'm trusting that we have created value and we have learned. We are going to continue this training, God willing, tomorrow. And please try as much as possible to be available. Relieve yourself of some things that may distract you. Try and get a stable network and be ready to participate fully. When we do so, we are going to maximize the benefits of the training. Remember, the training is learner centered. So we are going to be doing a lot of activities, a lot of things. You are going to be doing it. So we are going to be teaching ourselves. We are going to be criticizing ourselves. We are going to be doing peer review, peer commendation. We are going to do a lot of things together. So prepare your mind, go through your manual so that if you have questions, we may not have time to go through all the things there, but when you go through it, important things you can take note of it so that you can ask during the class. That way, you are going to maximize the benefit of the training. I tell you that if you want to schedule a session of consultation with some of the experts that are coming, you are going to spend a lot of money. But if you're able to ask whatsoever you want to ask during the class, that will go a long way to help you benefit from what you have signed up for. So please, we will close for now and then we'll see you tomorrow. If there is any update, we are going to share it on the group platform. We are going to do a check-in activity tomorrow. So it's going to be an interesting time. So make sure that you're available and early enough. Thank you so much for being with us. If you can put on your cameras, I will appreciate it. This is our last attendance for today. Put on your camera, let me know that you are there. And you are the one behind the camera. Okay, so thank you. Yes, I can see Ako. Musa, we can't see your face.
Sir, I'm sorry, I can't put on my camera right now, but I'm the one behind the camera.
It's your voice that is behind the camera, or you're not. We cannot see you, so it's your voice that is behind the camera. And Mr. Umar, you are facing the camera, be your backing it. We can't even see your face.
It's like I'm having a challenge with actually the camera itself. I'm having a glitch. So let me just on it.
Okay, do we need to sue the phone people so that they should not play with a lawyer and
I don't know.
an ADR practitioner?
Certainly, sir. I don't know what to do.
All right.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you. We appreciate you. Please see you tomorrow. Same time, same station, according to media practitioners. Don't touch the dial according to them, so but you can go. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for being with us. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you,
We'll
sir.
drop updates and instructions
So
on the
much.
platform. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, and thanks everyone. Cool.
Thank you. We are going to also share the recording of the training on the platform so that you can refresh your mind in case you miss out anything. Do well to go through it.
Have a great evening. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everybody. Pray we're all alive, well, fit, and healthy for tomorrow's class. And may this knowledge benefit us and the society in general.
Thank you.
Have a great night. I'm off.
Thank you.